Hi, it's Vinh. We've met last time in my video about my pho cooking project. In this video, I would like to share some more details about my work and some thoughts after having finished the project. I wouldn't repeat the same story because I already mentioned it in my last video, but I do want to say that this story is not confirmed to be true or not, since there are people saying that pho was inspired by the Chinese cooking way, which I could also consider being possible since the two countries are next to each other. I do have a Chinese friend in Berlin. He also said that, yes, they do have the similar white rice noodle, but it's not the same dish. So with the story about the two words pho and pho, you could consider it as a fairy tale, maybe. I would let you decide if it's true for you or not. For me, the two words sound so similar. So personally, I find the story makes sense in that way. That's why I wanted to make this sculpture. In case you don't know, one of my practices or my interests is making ambigrams, which are words that can be read in two ways or many ways. Before this, I was making ambigrams that only appear 2D. For example, if you turn this word 180 degrees, you would see the other word. So me making this sculpture is a new exploration in this wordplay games, which is now 3D. I would briefly add one detail to this work is that for the word pho, I used the Garamond typeface, which is a French design. And for the word pho, I used a rather new typeface called Viaoda Libre, which was designed by a Vietnamese graphic designer, Cha. So in this way, in the design option, I also tried to tell the story of the words through the typeface also. But then, as you know, I thought placing a small sculpture doesn't bring you the whole story. That's why I really wanted to prepare pho as real as possible, just like the way our fathers and grandfathers did it. Every evening I would cook the bones. In the morning, I'd wake up at 5, prepare it again, and bring it to the exhibition place. I feel like I'm reliving the same routine that they did. In that way, I also understand the effort that they put into it. Really, the work is not about the sculpture anymore. It's rather the experience also. So that's why I also wanted to invite friends and teachers from school, cook for them, tell them the story, so I could share them something from my culture. So about how I felt when I first read the story, I was quite taken away since I've known this food for 22 years of my life now. But I never really asked the question, why is it called like that? It's like you could imagine knowing a friend for your whole life. You meet him every morning, have breakfast, but then you never really know where he comes from or what's his story. And then one day, 3 a.m. in the morning, you read an article about him and the story just hits you like that. It's like, oh, the story is that deep. And I don't think it matters if the story is true or not. What matters is how I reviewed myself, my way of living up until now. I didn't really care about things around me. I was in my own dreamy world, maybe. So I thought about my family. Who in my family could confirm the story is true or not? And they also don't know. So I thought the generations that know the story are gone already. It will be left with me, who belong to a younger generation. And I feel like I have this responsibility to know more about my culture, my history. Because I see myself one day, I have children or grandchildren. They would ask me the question like, why is this food called like this? Or other things. And I don't know the answer. That would be very sad. So one of the reasons I want to cook the food really well is also to remind myself to learn more about my culture, especially when you're in Berlin. a very international city. What sets you apart is actually your knowledge about your own culture. So I think it's not important if the story is true or not. What's even more important is that we stay curious about our own culture. Do I want to see myself cooking pho in 10 years from now? I hope not. I would be cooking it for my friends, but for art, maybe not, because I will be a different person then. What I would love to see is that maybe a younger person, a younger artist read some story like this and also feel inspired to make art or to learn more about their culture. I think that would be very beautiful.